everybody. My name is Eric Weaver, and I'm your teaching assistant at the Patel College of Global Sustainability, where I'm going to help you use the WEAP model. And to start off with, we're going to go to my USF and log into the project page, so the group project for your water resource class. And down here on the bottom is a link to a PDF, so you click on that and it opens up this PDF, which is your project description for the course. And it's good to read all of this, just as all the other reading assignments and lectures, so that you understand how the different data fit together, the different organizations and everything else that you'll need to use this WEAP model. It's the Water Evaluation and Planning Tool. So if you come down here on the bottom of the second page, you can click this link and it'll open up the website where you can get the model. Once again, if you understand or read through some of this, it will help to understand where we're going and what we're doing. Here's the download link right here, and it'll ask you to join, at least for the free copy, to join a WEAP forum. This is like a discussion group for users. It's the way that they've chosen to track users for this program. So if you join and fill in all the necessary information, and you can mention that you're working on a class project, and that should be sufficient. I've done all this already, so I have a login. Notice I'm using my USF email account. When you join the forum, you'll get a link to confirm your email and get you in here, and then you can come in here and download this. And when you click the download link, you'll end up with this program to install. You go through the installation. That's with any other program I'm sure you've installed before. And when you're finished, you'll have a link to open the new program. We are using the evaluation program, so we're not going to be registering it. We're just going to be using their demo version to test and learn how to use this program. So that's the first step to this process that we're going to be going through. Back again with our WEAP lessons. This is the demo version that you just downloaded and installed on your computer. We're going to go back to our project description again, where you selected the software. You need to download all of these other files as well. We're going to start with the user's guide and a tutorial. Then some journal articles are licensed to the university, so you can only get them through the university, so make sure you're logged in. Okay, so after you download those, I'm going to start here with the user's guide. The user's guide is very helpful because it has everything, and so you can come through here if to get a more detailed background of all the different structures and how everything works. And of course, if you have any problems with it and you want to learn how it all works, it's all very specific details, even screenshots and everything. So it's very well written guide here. If you have any problems with anything, we're going to go right into the tutorial. once again, this is very well done as well, and they break everything down for you. And we're going to jump to this WEAP in 1 hour tutorial, which is one of the many tools that they have here for going through the system. And they're going to start here with the model that we have begun with and create a new area. So the first process that they do in this tutorial is they go back here and create a new area, and see, you can name it what you want, and set it to be blank. You can put passwords on it if you need to. I'm not going to in this case. And yeah, I've played with this a bit already. And see, now we can set our study area. And that's what this green box is creating our study area. So now I'm zooming into Florida. So that's what I wanted to use for my study area. This is a very powerful program in that it can connect with all the different GIS files and so forth. So the first process that they do in this tutorial is creating this initial study A. See, they were using a different area of the map, but it walks you through the same process. I was just showing you creating your initial boundaries, and allows you to zoom in and so forth. Shows you how to use this system to model a certain area. Everything that this program does is based on that study area. And once again, like I mentioned, you can add GIS layers, which may be something that we will explore later. And then you can expand your work based on that. Of course, save your study area once you get started, which is what they go through here, setting up your parameters as well for this tutorial. Then they get the next step. They want to use the tutorial file instead of the study area that we started with. So you can come back here and open a tutorial, and that gives us a piece that we can start exploring and testing. So that's where I'm going to start again with our WEAP model. And this time I was thinking that you might want to split the screen like this so you can follow right along with your manual and do the steps that they list here in your model, so you can get a feel for it. See, like they're talking about setting your initial general parameters over here. So the first one that they've done is a year. Oh, it looks like this has all been set already. So you can adjust the year data. The time step is based on a calendar year. This is for running the model, the period that you use to run the model. And that's once again how they have this set up in this example. So that was easy. So then the next step that they go through is they talk about how you can save your reference scenario so that you can use this same time step over and over again. And that's over here, where you can save your save your versions, and that's actually what they cover as well. Is how you can go back to the different versions you've used, which is very convenient. So in case you make an error, you can go back to different versions that you did earlier, which is one of the better features of this program. See, they're talking about saving different versions and saving your data set so that you have the general parameter set. So that's an important process. Once again, as with any program, it's always good to save different versions, and they describe how well this model works for keeping up with different things. So that's all we're going to do in this session. I don't want to do too much. Our next section, we're going to draw in the river, and back here in the model program, you click on the word river and you hold it down with your mouse and carry it over to where the river is, and you start at the head or the highest point in the river. We're essentially drawing in the river. The CAD file or the GIS file is really only a background, and these symbols here are actually what the program uses to simulate the river. And if you notice, I'm not following it really close here. It is important that you do follow it closely, because it will use these dimensions or this distance to calculate the retention time and the water flow and everything else that the program uses. Like I said, the CAD file is the background, and you follow it all the way down to the end and double click when you get to the end, and then it allows you to put in your name for your what you just entered. And now you can see the new line that you added here, and if you right click on it, then you can edit it. Like right now, I'm going to move the label so it's easier to see it. So now this is a graphical representation, and you see I could have done a lot tighter in areas, and like I said, it's important to do that to get an accurate flow of this. The manual does a pretty good job of explaining this, talking about how to lay it out and so forth. Once again, what's important is, as opposed to upper left and lower right, that you're starting at the highest point of the river and ending at the lowest point of the river. That might not always be left and right, of course. So you're starting up in the mountains and ending down in the ocean. But the manual is really good at explaining how this is done. We just wanted to make sure you understood everything. Even naming the river and moving the label to get it where you want. So that's all we're going to do in this. Again, and we're going to edit a river and enter data into this program. And once again, you can right click on it and see the list data files, or which you can enter in for data on the river. we're going to start with a head flow right at the beginning. And you notice how it jumps to the data screen where you can see all the different data that's available for this. They do talk about other ways of getting into it here in the where you can click on the menu itself, which, to expand it and to open it that way. It seemed more complicated to me, but that's okay. Giving you different options of how to edit your data. And once again, we're going to enter monthly time series for the head flow, which is what they've provided here in the example. So here's their data sample. And so back over here at our program, you can right click on the river and see there's your monthly time series. And then you open that up and it allows you to put in this data. And so you can come up here and type in the numbers just as they have listed there. And I use just the arrow key to tab down to the next field, which is convenient and quick. And see, now we have a plot of it as well. And as with all windows, you can adjust it so you can see it should match. See, it's got the same. Of course, you can make it a lot smaller too if you want. Well, I could almost make it the exact same size if I wanted to. But it's once again very simple, direct way of entering data, and you can put this into all the different segments of your river. At this time, I only have one in there. So it gives you a histogram of flows, and then you can come back over here to get back to the schematic. So now I entered that data, which was the next process that they covered in the tutorial. Back again to complete our tutorial here in the WEAP model. So the next piece is to create your demand, and you start out, like I said, this is a GIS picture in the background, so we're going to drop another symbol on it. You press down on the demand, you slide it over with your mouse and drop it on your city, and now you can type in your whatever you want to call your city. You want to keep the priority at 1, which is the highest level, just like they say over here. It can be as low as 99, but that's what we're using here. So now we can edit it again like we did last time, right clicking on the symbol, and let's move the label so we can read it. And now we're going to edit this again and go over to the annual activity level, so that we can put in the name the city. The next one is to edit data, annual activity level, and that's at the top here. And you can also just go back and forth here with the data, like I could have edited the river data doing this as well, but now we're going to edit the city data. So we're going to go up to here to the city, and as they talk here, let's see, yep, down here, we're going to change this So the demand is going to be based on people, and you can see other options that you have here, and that's what we're going to base our demand at. And now we're going to use population here, and they say 800,000 in this example, so we're going to put in 800, 1, 2, 3, and then the next item they want us to put in for this example is the annual water use rate, which is 300. It's about twice what we have in Florida. And now we're going to go down here, and oh yes, the consumption rate. So how much of that is actually consumed. So this is percent consumed, lost in the system. That's 15%. So the remainder, 85%, actually comes through into the wastewater, for cleaning and so forth. So that's the last number that we're putting in for this section, and now we can go back to the map. And so we finished this next one. Again, we're gonna create an agricultural demand this time. It's just like we did a moment ago, clicking the demand symbol here and carrying it over, and you can put it outside the city somewhere if you like, but and this is agriculture for another water use demand, and most of the time I can spell. And once again, this is a high priority, so you can leave it at 1. And this is going to be similar to what we did a moment ago, where we enter in the activity level, and as noted here in the tutorial, we're going to have 100,000 hectares, so it's going to be a unit of area, hectares, area. So hectares, you see what I did? I clicked on the plus sign here, and hectares, and we've got 100,000. So we go, yeah, this is for writing formulas if it's easier, but all we're doing is 3, and then the consumption, again, the use per 3,500, 100 per hectare. And let's see what else they have here. And now we're going to put a monthly time series on this for the variation of water use, because as you know, based on the time of year, the water use varies. So for this, we're going to go back. Where am I going? I'm going back over here, monthly variation, and then we're going to monthly time series. And so we have these values here, and you can see that they put in 0 for the ones we don't have. So it starts 5% in April, and that means that March, February, January, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So now we put in the values just like they had. And once again, you can check the graph, make sure it matches. That's a convenient way to see if you're putting the right numbers. I mean, I'm sure all of us have made typos before, not getting the same number in there, but you can see they're lining up pretty good. So, and now they want, so we hit finish. And then the last item they want us to put in for this step is consumption at 90%. So that's finishing the agricultural data, and that takes us to the next step. On our next step in this tutorial, we're going to connect the demand with the supply, which is done with a transmission link. So if we go back over here to the model, you see the transmission link, and you select it once again as you've done before. And you come over here and you drop it on the river. Make sure you pick a spot on the river, and now you can connect it to the city. And you double click it at the city, and once again you're going to put the preference of 1 and hit finish. Now for the agriculture, you want to select it just south of the, just further down from the city. Yes, you do the same thing with agriculture, but the transmission is downstream, so the city gets the priority on the water, kind of. So now you do the same thing again with the transmission. So you're going to pick a spot further down on the river, and then release my mouse and come over here and double click, and then hit finish. Now similarly, the next step is going to be return flow links, and this is almost exactly the same as what we just did, except now we're going to select a return flow. Once again, you press it down and you carry it over to the city, and so it's going to be return flow from the city and once again to the river. And now we do the same thing for the agriculture, and you should notice that the withdrawal from the city is after, or the city's before the agriculture, and the return from the city is before the agriculture as well. So now we do the return for the agriculture, and then it's gonna be further downstream on the river. And there we go. So that took us through that next step in the tutorial. And I guess now we can edit the return flows to make sure that they're both at 100%. So now you right click on the edit data, and then the return flow routing, and see we put in 100%, and I guess I gotta type it in, and then do the same thing for the agriculture. Return flow routing is 100%, and then we can go back over here. So we finish that next step. Now we're ready to do the last step of the tutorial, which is checking the model, and now we got a pretty close picture. But when you come down here to checking things, first thing you do is click on the results. That's over here. So you click on results, and it recalculates. So you hit yes, since we changed everything. And so check results. So when we come down here They want us to go into table, demand for water demand. So let's go to table and click on demand, then water demand. And let's see, upper center window, annual totals box, that's this right here. Then let's see, okay, so they've got some results here. 350 and 240. 350 and 240. So it looks like I entered the data correctly. Oh, that looks like they have a picture of the whole set. So, yep, that looks like what I did. Yep, that looks right. So now they do have additional places to look. You can look at the monthly demand. Let's see. So that's back at chart. That looks like yearly totals. Up annual totals. Wow. That's monthly values, monthly averages for the 5 years, or for each year, right? 5 years, yeah. Let's see what else they talk about over here. Chart of coverages, demand coverages. So let's chart of demand coverages. Oh wow. And that's the 3D option. Oh, now it's the annual. Oh yeah, see, it's about the same as what they have here. So I've got the right data, and there's a lot of different ways of looking at this data. Now what you need to decide is how you want to compare. See, we're done with the tutorial now. So when it comes to making modifications to this data, like this is using, so what happens if we double the amount of people here? So we went from 800,000 to 1.6. So now I just changed the number of people there. So now if I do the results again, it'll redo the calculation. Wow. Big difference, huh? Now we can go back to the table datas and look at the demand totals, annual totals, and you can see how much that changed from the data that they provided earlier, right here. So that is a quick, easy way to see how things change. See, all I do is change the city, and you can see doubled number of people, doubled the amount of water used. Makes sense, right? So now you're ready to start analysis on different scenarios to improve the system.